The engineering of Noah's. 137 meters long, 23 meters wide, 3 full stories high. The Bible gave the exact measurements, but it never gave the instruction manual. It didn't explain how to fell trees the size of modern skyscrapers with soft bronze tools. It didn't explain how to move logs weighing 20 tons without cranes, hydraulics, or wheels. And it certainly didn't explain how to waterproof a vessel larger than a football field so it wouldn't shatter under the pressure of a global ocean. Noah was given a command: build. But to obey that command, he couldn't just be a prophet. He had to become the greatest engineer the ancient world had ever seen. How do you build the impossible when all you have is faith and a sharp rock? This isn't just a Sunday school story. This is a forensic analysis of the most brutal construction project in human history. If you are obsessed with the lost engineering secrets of the ancient world, make sure to hit that subscribe button right now. We decode history's impossible structures every single week, and you won't want to miss what we analyze next. Step 1 wasn't wood, it was dirt. Most people imagine Noah just started chopping trees. That's a rookie mistake. If you build a 137-meter structure on uneven ground, gravity will destroy it before you finish the first floor. If the ground shifts, the spine of the ship cracks. Noah needed a construction site that was perfectly flat, geologically stable, and massive. But here is the logistics nightmare. He wasn't near the ocean. He couldn't just launch it into a river. He had to build it on dry land, waiting for the water to come to him. This meant preparing a dry dock in the middle of nowhere. Before a single plank was laid, Noah likely spent months, maybe years, as a civil engineer, digging drainage canals. Why? Because when it rains on a cleared construction site, it becomes a mud pit. Imagine trying to move a 5-ton timber through knee-deep sludge. It's impossible. He had to terraform the landscape, compacting the soil, creating stone foundations to support the keel so it wouldn't sink into the earth over the decades of construction. And while he moved tons of dirt, the neighbors watched. To them, this was insanity. A shipyard in the mountains, a captain without a sea. But Noah ignored the noise. He knew something they didn't. He wasn't building for the world that existed. He was building for the world that was about to arrive. Once the ground was ready, the war against physics began. The Bible mentions gopher wood. Scholars debate what this was, likely cypress or cedar. These are rot-resistant, durable, and incredibly heavy. A single mature cypress log can weigh as much as a school bus, and Noah needed thousands of them. Remember the technology of the time. This was likely the Bronze Age. Bronze is softer than iron. When you strike dense ancient hardwood, the axe dulls. It bounces off. The vibration shatters your wrists. Noah and his sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, weren't just carpenters, they were weightlifters. Strike, sharpen, strike, sharpen, a cycle of endless friction. But cutting is the easy part. Transport is the killer. Without wheels, which might not have been suitable for heavy loads on rough terrain, how do you move a 10-ton beam from the forest to the site? They likely used the same technology that built the pyramids: rollers. Laying down a track of smaller logs, rolling the behemoth forward, and constantly moving the rear rollers to the front. This requires perfectly leveled paths. If the path dips, the log rolls uncontrollably. It becomes a battering ram that can crush a human body in a second. Every single beam in that arc represented a near-death experience. The logistics alone, Clearing roads, feeding the workers, maintaining the tools was an enterprise that would bankrupt a modern company. Noah did it with a family of 8. Now, look at the skeleton. The most critical part of any ship is the keel, the spine. For a ship 137 meters long, no single tree exists. Noah had to engineer a composite keel. This means joining multiple massive trunks together, but you can't just nail them. Nails pull out under torsion. He likely used scarf joints, complex zigzag cuts that lock 2 pieces of wood together so they can't pull apart. Then he would drill through them and drive in trunnels, tree nails, wooden pegs that swell when wet, locking the joint forever. Then the ribs. A ship isn't a box. It needs curves to deflect water pressure. But wood is straight. If you force it, it snaps. Noah had to master steam bending, heating the massive beams over fires, soaking them in water until the fibers relaxed, and then, using immense leverage, bending them slowly into shape. Hold it, let it cool, let it set. If you rush it, the wood splinters. If you wait too long, it hardens. It's a delicate dance of temperature and timing, performed with materials weighing tons. And inside, it wasn't empty. To stop the walls from bowing out, Noah likely used triangulation, diagonal bracing. The triangle is the only geometric shape that cannot be deformed without breaking. The interior of the ark was likely a dense forest of crossbeams, distributing the crushing weight of the cargo and the violence of the waves. The structure is up, but a wooden ship is just a sieve waiting to sink. It needs to be sealed. The text says, "Pitch it within and without with pitch." This is bitumen, a natural tar-like asphalt. To use it, you have to boil it. This was the most dangerous phase of construction. Imagine working inside the deep, dark bowels of the ark, no windows yet. You are carrying pots of boiling, flammable tar. The fumes are toxic, carbon monoxide, sulfur. In an enclosed space, this is deadly. They probably had to work in short bursts, run in, spread the hot tar, run out to breathe. Burns were inevitable. Respiratory issues were guaranteed, and the risk of fire, high. One spilled pot, one spark, and decades of work would vanish in flames. But they had no choice. If they missed a single seam, a gap the width of a hair, the hydrostatic pressure of the flood would force water in. And once water gets in, rot begins. Finally, the interior design. This wasn't a barn. It was a biocontainment facility. You have thousands of animals, carnivores next to herbivores, the noise, the heat, and the biggest problem of all, the waste. Thousands of animals produce tons of waste every single day. If Noah didn't engineer a solution, the ammonia fumes would kill everyone on board within a week. They couldn't shovel it all out by hand. There weren't enough people. The floors were likely slatted or slanted, allowing gravity to do the work, feeding into a central trough or lower dumping decks. Some engineers propose a moon pool, a central shaft open to the water below, acting as a massive ventilation lung and a waste disposal unit. As the ship rocked in the waves, the water in the central shaft would pump up and down, pushing stale air out and pulling fresh air in. A passive HVAC system powered by the storm itself. And food storage, a year's supply. This required warehouse logistics, grain kept dry in the center, water stored in cisterns. Noah had to calculate the metabolic needs of every species. How much does a lion eat when it's dormant? How much water does an elephant need? He wasn't just a builder. He was a zookeeper, a nutritionist, and a supply chain manager. Then the day came. The construction was silent. The hammers stopped. The structure stood finished, a dark, imposing monolith against a gray sky. The ramp was lowered. And then the impossible happened. Noah didn't have to hunt them. He didn't have to drag them. They came, guided by an instinct override that science still can't explain. 2 by 2, 7 by 7, they walked up the ramp and found their cages, their nests, as if they had been assigned seats. Noah, his wife, his sons, and their wives, 8 people. They stepped inside, and then the most chilling moment in the text. Noah didn't close the door. It was too heavy, too significant. The Lord shut him in. The seal was airtight. The world outside was gone. For the first time in 100 years, Noah rested. But outside, the first drop fell, then the second, and the laughter of the neighbors stopped. The ark was an engineering marvel, built on faith, constructed with blood and sweat. It held together against the most violent forces the planet has ever known. But surviving the flood was only the beginning. Living inside a floating box with thousands of wild animals for over a year, that is a whole different kind of survival story. How did they feed the lions? How did they get fresh water? And what happened when they finally stepped out? Click this video right here to see Part 2, The Survival Inside the Ark. You won't believe the logic behind the food chain. Click it now. I'll see you there.